Good morning, party people! What's up, Ted? Saying good morning, VDV. It's good to see you, Ted. Good morning, Chad. Good morning, Valder. Massimiliano, it's good to see you. Andrea, Sam Peterson, my friend, it's good to see all of you folks in chat this morning. My name is Voodoo Val, and I'm going to be your host for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I hope everyone can hear me all right. I hope there's no issue with sound and everything, and it's coming through loud and clear. My music is actually a tad loud for me, so I'm going to bump it down just a little bit, and then we're going to get going here. You look fabulous this morning. Thank you. I thought I'd maybe let my hair down. I haven't done that in a long time. But yeah, welcome in to Adobe Live here on Behance. We're going to jump into the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge here pretty soon. But first, I'd like to kind of go over how you folks can get involved in that challenge, participate with me, and share your work with the community. So I'm going to pull up my landing page here real quick, and then I'm going to pop over there and we're going to go over that. So if you head to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, it will bring you here to the landing page where you can get all the information that you need for the current challenge. You'll know if you're on the page for the current challenge just by taking a look right here at the dates at the top. We do have, if you scroll all the way down, we do have previous daily creative challenges here that you can always go back and return to if you'd like to check out some other challenges, and they will have their respective dates listed here as well as on their landing pages. But you know that you are here for this week's challenge if it says June 22nd to June 26th. Essentially, every morning we unlock at about 8 a.m. Pacific time a new challenge for you. And our current challenge runs 5 days, so we have 5 challenges that you folks will be able to jump into. Yesterday we did logo design, which was fun. Today we're going to go over a few points of product photography and editing photos. So it says edit a series of product shots for use in branding and packaging mockups. Capture your own images or use the ones in the starter file. So I think you guys probably remember yesterday I did say that we would be creating a mockup from scratch. So today we're going to be preparing some images that we will be using kind of on the last day of the week. That's basically how we're going through this, is every day we're doing something related to product design or packaging design or branding in some way. And I have actually got a lot of really fabulous photos for you folks to use. I know sometimes I'm not able to include all of the photography and you folks have to find your own images, but I do have images for you. If you guys hit that get started button, you can download the challenge number 2 starter file and follow along with me. If you need to come back later on and rewatch the video to watch how I do certain things, you can always hit this watch video button. It'll bring you back to the recorded VOD for this. Hello, Sig, it's good to see you. Anna, good morning. Danielle, hello. Yes, photos. So let me pop up over here. Actually, first I'm going to show you the Discord before we get ahead of ourselves. When you're done doing the challenge, you can share your challenge entry with me and the community, and they will go over the challenges sometimes on the stream, and then sometimes you can ping mentors in there to get feedback, as well as feedback from your fellow community members. So I am going to show you guys the Discord link because I want to make sure that you folks know how to get into the Discord. If you head to this link up here, bit.ly/psdiscord, making sure that P and that S are capitalized, it will bring you to this nifty little place right here. Let me pull up my Discord and pop over and show you guys what's going on. This is the Discord, and if you scroll through here, you'll see there's a current challenge page, and that current challenge channel in here, you can see if I scroll through, we've actually got brand new challenge entries from yesterday that I've been looking through, and you guys have done such a fabulous job. Looks like Orange Bandito says, here's my updated version for all those Southerner hunters. Awesome. Stag Life. Excellent. Thank you so much, Orange. We got this really awesome logo from Bev. Didn't have a logo in mind, but was just having fun. So it looks like Bev took some of the elements and ideas that I was working with yesterday and made some really cool designs, which is super awesome. Great job, Bev. We got Monica coming in here saying, Tread, another one. I don't even know how you did this, but it's awesome. I love it. I don't know if you made this pattern and this shape yourself, or if you found this image somewhere or what, but that looks super, super cool. We got this one from Susan Holt, done a few challenges. This is looking super great. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm going to make sure that I'm not getting a top secret message here. Here we go. From the Adobe gods. All right, I'm good. All right. And I think, yes, this is also from the first challenge. H. Johnny says, PS DCC Day 1 logo. Ollie's Mountain Outfitters. This is awesome. I can totally see this being the sign or logo or opening for like an outfitter's shop or something. Very, very cool. Love this as well. C. Benin, awesome. Have courage and be kind. I love the message with that. But everyone has done such a wonderful job. Unearthly Pizza, I love it. I would love to go through all of these, but I do want to make sure that we get into today's challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and bounce over to my Photoshop, and I'm going to show you guys the Photoshop starter file that I have, and then we're going to jump into it. So well done, everyone. Thank you so much for participating, and I hope to see some new challenge entries after today. So if I page down, this is your challenge to starter file, and I'm gonna actually push myself over here and make sure that I'm not blocking my assets here. So you'll get this starter file, and it says edit a series of product shots, colors, size, orientation, etc. for use in branding and packaging mockups. You can use your own images or explore those included in the dice folder. So we actually have a really wonderful folder of images here. If I can hide some of these, let me see. Boom. So I actually was granted permission to share with you some images by a wonderful dice artist named Ellen, who I've got her link in here so you guys can check out her stuff if you want, but she has graciously volunteered all of these incredible images of dice that she has made so that we can have a product to experiment with for our class. So definitely give her a check on social media. Check through the dice, choose some images that you feel comfortable using from these, and let's get started. I have already sort of isolated a few dies just to kind of show you the vibe that I'm going for this one. I've given it some just generic names of these dies that I thought of based on what they look like. So this is not actually what she calls these dice, but I just wanted to line them up. And what we're going to work on today is just situations in which working with products and doing branding for projects may cause you to have to, number one, cut things out of images, and number two, edit those things that you cut out, edit the colors and the shape and the size and everything, while still making it look natural. Because in some cases, you may not be so lucky as we are today to have multiple versions of different products that have different colors. Sometimes you may need to simulate colors to show people that they have more than one option for a product, and sometimes you may also need to enhance an image so that people can see the detail. I'm sure you folks have seen on some product boxes, it'll say enhanced to show detail, like on the front of Cheez-Its, I think. It says enhanced to show detail, and then it says not actual size, things like that. So we're going to jump into that today. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over multiple ways of selecting items and isolating them from their backgrounds. Those dice are beautiful, very cool. Yes, I love them. She did a wonderful job. So let's check these out. I'm going to hide the single dice that I've isolated. I just cut those out just in case you folks wanted to use the ones that I cut out, but we're going to start from scratch here. I'm going to select an image. I really love this image in particular, so I'm going to select this first one here just in case you want to work with the same image that I am. And I'm going to show you how I do this. So first and foremost, one of the easiest ways to cut something out is just to use your lasso tool. You can hit L on the keyboard, or you can come up here and hit your either polygonal lasso tool or right click and check out all of these. So I'm going to do the polygonal lasso tool first. And it's super easy. All I have to do, especially since this has sharp corners, is I just have to click down everywhere around this object that I would like to make my selection, and it makes perfect straight clean lines around my item, and I can say Control J to duplicate that, and you can see I've got a new layer now with all of my selection. And if I hide that, you can see how isolated it is, and it does look super clean. What I would then do is transform this into a smart object by just right-clicking my layer and hitting Convert Smart Object. And now I can pretty much do anything with this, editing colors and whatnot, and resizing, and I'm not going to lose any of the quality, and I will keep the original version of this element. So I'm going to put this in the corner because I'm going to use this later when we start editing colors, but I'm also going to come back to our dice because I'm going to show you a few more methods. This is not going to be every single method known to Photoshop to select things, but I'm going to go over as many as I can and still have time to edit colors. So you can also grab your lasso tool, which if you have a stylus or a trackpad and you're working with a more organic shape, you could always come and draw around. It's not super accurate because you are freehanding something, but sometimes it works and you could just go around and select something. Obviously, right now, this is not the best option, but if you are choosing to use your own photos and you have something, like I said, a more organic shape that you feel confident freehanding, you can do that. Let me deselect here. I'm hitting Control D to deselect, by the way. Another tip that I have showed before, but I want to show it just in case you folks have never seen it. If you make a selection, and you, instead of Control D, you do Control H, it keeps your selection there actually, but it hides the marching ants. So I'm actually still on a selection. I can demonstrate that by selecting B and selecting a color. And then if I draw in here, you can see it's still got that selection. It's just not showing it to me. And if I hit Control H again, the selection comes back. So let me come back to our image here because we're going to do a few more things. Another way that you can do this is using the magnetic lasso tool. And what this does, if I drag it along the edges, sometimes depending on what you're doing, it can actually magnetize to the very edges of things. And I'm kind of freehanding this with a mouse, so I'm not being extra accurate with this. Maybe if I do it with my cursor, that's a little more accurate. And you can see how if I go around the edges, sometimes, like I said, depending on what you're working on, this can really work. So that's another method for cutting things out. You can also mask items, which is really, really great. So for example, if I do my polygonal lasso tool selection real quick, because that is, I think, the quickest, most accurate way to do this particular item. And I go boom, boom, boom. And then I hit my mask here. You can see I create a mask on my layer just by hitting this button here. And then I can come in and I can actually edit my images. You can see it kind of hid the background and showed the layer just under it. That is the first layer that is visible underneath it. So it took everything away. And I can edit just this right here, just my little die. And I could do that and add multiple images from different photos into the same composition if I wanted with masking. I could do all kinds of things with that. So that's another way to isolate items and elements from photos. I'm gonna undo real quick. Another way that you can do this is with object selection and subject selection, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. If you come down here, you see if you have your Photoshop updated, you'll have a little object selection tool, or you can press W on the keyboard. You can click this and you can actually come in here, and if I drag a little rectangle around here, it will actually select everything. Now, the edge of my die is kind of lost because it is super close to the background color, which you may find happens to you depending on what image you're using. You can also combine different methods of selecting objects though. So now that I have this selection, if I wanted to, I could come over, I could grab my polygonal lasso tool, and I could clean up this edge. If I hold Shift on my keyboard, it will add to selection. You can see it puts a little plus symbol next to my cursor, and I can click, and I can click, and I can come down here and click and bring it over here, boom, and oops, and add that if I can bump it up to my selection. And then if I want to remove, maybe I want to clean this up, all I have to do is hold Alt, and I can click and click and click. and it will remove. So you can clean it up that way. Let me hit Control D for deselect. I can also come in here and I can hit subject select, and that will select the subject around everything that it can. I can bump up the sensitivity on that if I like, but those are some ways that you can actually select different items. Now, we've already isolated one of our images, and that's the image that I'm going to use for color changing and things today, because there's a lot of ways to do that as well. Kind of keeping track of time here, making sure I've got time to show you all of this. Again, there may be some folks in chat who are wondering why I don't show every single way to select, because there are plenty more. There's so many ways to do things in Photoshop. I'm just kind of showing some of the more basic, like easier ways that you can select things if you're kind of new to Photoshop. If you have any other methods that you'd like to share with the community for how to select things, feel free to post them in chat or post them in the Discord for other people to explore. I'm limited on time today, so I can't go over everything, but I think I've shown enough that anybody in the chat who is a little bit newer has a few different methods that they can use for now. So I've got my die here that I've isolated, and I think this looks pretty good and clean. Now, you'll remember I right-clicked this and I did convert it to a smart object. So if you haven't done that with your image that you're going to practice changing colors with today, please do that now. Just right-click and say convert to smart object, like so, because we're going to put some adjustment layers on this, and we're going to change colors, and we're going to want to go back to our original version of the element if we decide we've made a change that we don't like. This is the first I get to watch one of the videos live. Awesome, Tessia, welcome in. It's good to see you. Also, greetings, Lydell. I'm so glad to have you with us. How can I create golden numbers? The golden numbers here on the die. Well, if you were making a die from scratch and you wanted to create the golden numbers, I think all you would have to do is hit T on the keyboard and type out a number like 17, for example. And then I think you could free transform that with Control T, and you could actually skew and warp, you know, just to put things in perspective and all that. If you right click, you can actually see all the different ways that you can edit it, and then you could apply a clipping mask of a gold leaf texture of some kind if that's how you want it to do it. There's a quick little perspective text tutorial for you. So what we're going to do here is first go over some of the easier ways of changing colors. If I hit Control U on my keyboard, it pulls up my hue and saturation. And this is kind of an easier one. It's one of my more go-to things if I don't need everything to be 100% accurate. If I don't have purple dice made, but I need to show my customers that I can make a purple die, that purple dies are available, I can simply bump that down into purple, which is okay, except that it doesn't really show, it kind of looks like I just changed the color, and this may work with some product images, but not all. So that's a way that we could do it. You'll notice here, once I hit OK, because we have a smart object, I've got this smart filter hue and saturation thing that has just appeared attached to my layer, and I can hide that and unhide that, so I can go back to my original, which is what I was talking about earlier. I've also got this little drop down bracket so that I can close, kind of collapse all of the different things that we add, because we're going to do a lot of things here, and it'll make that one layer super, super tall. So another way that you can do this, I'm going to hide that hue and saturation, is you can go into levels. So if I say Control L to open my levels panel, first of all, I can come in and mess with the midtones, highlights, and shadows. If I wanted to, for example, enhance my item, my product item, to show detail, you could do that. This would be one of the ways that you might edit that in Photoshop, which is okay. Another way that you can use the levels to edit color is just come up here. Some of you may not have known that you can actually change this RGB. You can come in and go to red, green, and blue, and you can actually edit just the tones for those colors, which is actually really cool. So maybe when I take the photo of my image, it looks like this, but it doesn't actually show the true range of red that you would see if you were holding that product in your hand. I might want to edit the red channels and really show that detail so that my customers, when they're only looking at images on the net, on my website or my social media, they really see what that red is going to look like if my camera's not capturing it. And we can go through here and we can do all sorts of things. Maybe we want to change it differently, and you'll notice that different from the hue and saturation, this is a really great way to change the color, and you'll notice my gold is still gold. So if I hit OK on this, you can see how the levels looks, and then you can see how the hue and saturation looks. It changed all the colors of those numbers, which is not what I want to do because the gold on these dye, it's gold. So here I've made, you know, kind of a purpley one, and I still retain all of my gold details, which is really cool. Another way that we can do this and change colors is to mask it. So if I hold Control and I click my layer, it will do a perfect selection around everything that's in that layer. Now, depending on what you're working with, maybe you don't want to change the color of the subject, maybe you want to change the color of the background. You can actually, as long as I have a selection tool of some kind selected, I can right click and I can say select inverse, and you'll notice it changes it to selecting the outside of my object. I don't need that particularly for this project, but just in case you do, I want to make sure that I point that out. I'm going to say Control Z because I want to go back to having my selection. And I can mask if I want to, and I can change the color that way. So I think that's 1, 2, 3 different ways that you can change colors. And one of the things that I would like to do actually is I want to duplicate this, and I want to just like spread out an array of different colors of items, because that's what you may do if you are working with a real product. So let me bump this down. I'm going to put this, I'll change the color while it's here. I'm going to jump into my levels again. I'm going to change maybe the green on this. Let's see if I bump this around. Actually, I'm going to cancel. I'm going to hide this levels. I'm going to bring it back to the original, and then I'm going to say Control L to do this again, and I'm going to mess with the green. Now, I would say kind of noodle with this a little bit, because sometimes you don't get exactly the effects that you want, but that's okay, because every product image that you may be using can be different. I would have loved to be able to show even more ways that you can edit color and that you can select items, but unfortunately we are out of time, so I do have to take off for the day. But I hope that this helps you sort of figure out different ways that you can isolate images from backgrounds, that you can change color, and that you can edit products in a way that does not actually diminish the quality of your images for your products. Certain details of those products, and you can also resize things so that you aren't kind of pixelating the images at all. As long as you're working with smart objects and things in Photoshop, typically you retain as much detail from the original as you possibly can, which for me, these things have been very helpful in the past. So that's all I have for you. I know that was a lot of different little tips, and it's already been a half hour, but I appreciate all of you folks being here for this challenge. Don't forget to check out those dice online, because Ellen was gracious enough to let us use all of her images for this, and I can't wait to see what kind of things you folks are editing in the Discord. So I'm going to take off for now, but please stick around because we have awesome segments coming up after me. I'm not the only one on stream today, so support all the creators here on Adobe Live, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Adios, everyone.